Six Nations, folks, Scotland and Ireland, and it's Ireland who once again get it done at Murrayfield. Big second half performance for an injury-depleted Irish side. 22 points to 7. We'll go through some key events and stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I'll try not to wake up my kids who are still in bed. The sun's not quite up at 6:15 here in the morning in NZ. But yeah, good crowd. Apart from a little bit of rain, the weather was good at Murrayfield. Good, decent away support as well for the Irish, and a tentative start. Like both these sides, like it's a bloody important game, right? Ireland chasing down this Grand Slam, Scotland trying to stay alive in the championship. It was Scotland that blinked first though when they mucked up a relatively kind of straightforward line-out chance, and the communications just went haywire for that one, which led to Sexton putting a wee dinking kick through onto Scotland's kind of 5 metre line basically, and then kind of inexplicably, maybe it's the pressure, Scotland take the throw quickly and pretty much gift Ireland an early try, or it would have been if not for the fact that the quick throw they took was with the wrong ball. It was from a different ball than the one Ireland kicked out. So because it was the wrong ball, they weren't entitled to take the throw, and the potential Irish try doesn't eventuate. So maybe just settle down a bit, Scotland. I know you want to kind of get off to a good start, but that's not the right way to go about it. And then it gets worse for them because Richie goes off injured, and Caelan Doris has visibly taken a knock by the same point. Scotland lose another line-out, which is, again, like not great when you're playing the first team and number one team in the world. And Ireland set themselves up with a great field position by like 9 minutes because Ringrose has put a kick through. Hogg's had to chase back to grab it. James Lowe's put him into touch. So, what Ireland can do from a few metres out, they maul it. But the Scottish defence holds, or at least it only concedes a 3-pointer. So it is a 3-point lead to the Irish early, and it's pretty deserved because Scotland, I think for the most part, despite the kind of back and forth start, has slightly been on the back foot. Good news for Scotland, a guy who's been in phenomenal form, and bad news for Ireland is that Caelan Doris goes off on 12 minutes. And Scotland managed to get some momentum, man. Like they go 17 phases. They get themselves into the Irish 22 before Hogg gets tackled into touch. But it doesn't really matter because from the Irish exit, the Scots just run it straight back at them. Again, going through some phases. And eventually, man, Hugh Jones goes over, combines with Sione Tuipulotu with that pass. And it's a Scottish lead. 7 points to 3. After, 17, 18 minutes. So, game on after a little bit of a tentative start, as I mentioned. Then Dan Sheehan goes off for Ireland, so that's okay. You got Kelleher on the bench. He's, pretty bloody good replacement. Ireland go 8 phases. Scotland are able to counteract to get a bit of turnover ball. Game enters like a little bit of a holding pattern with neither side really able to get on top, which was pretty much the story of the first half, to be honest. Neither side was really able to get totally on top. Henderson goes off as well for Ireland. So that's the third guy they've had substituted through injury, which is disconcerting. But I guess as Mack Hansen said at the end of the match, it's a good testament to the depth in the Irish squad, to be honest. And he's the man who gets the first try of the game for Ireland, man. They go through some phases on 27 minutes. They test the Scottish defence, which does hold for ages. I mean, other sides would not have been able to keep the Irish out for as long as the Scots did. And I mean, in the overall scheme of this championship, this is the only side who's not conceded a 4th try bonus point against Ireland. So it's not going to feel like a great, moment for the Scots given the result. But that's kind of a positive to take one if you can. But man, Hansen scores a great try in the corner. Keenan with the final pass. It's a great finish from Mack Hansen. They have to check the grounding, but she's good as gold. And it was just great play from Ireland. And it kind of goes back to Scotland losing the ball on their own attack, and then Ringrose just kind of hacking it through into the backfield. So it's a while back, but it was kind of an unforced error from the Scots that set up the initial field position in the first place. So 8 points to 7. The Irish are in front. And the game, as I said, kind of enters this pattern where neither side's really able to dominate each other in the first half. James Lowe wins a penalty at the breakdown after Scotland were hot on attack in the Irish 22, which is one the Scots will look back on as a bit kind of frustrating. Hogg gives away a bit of a silly penalty when he slaps Conor Murray's arm So yeah, just not the kind of thing you want to be doing, which gives the Irish a chance to maul it from close range. But the maul defence was solid. Conceded penalty, Irish maul again. Scots pinched their line-out ball. The Scots had one last chance before half-time. When Ireland conceded a penalty at the breakdown, they had a line-out in the Irish 22. They went close, man, and I think this may be a key moment in this game. Like, if the Scots can finish off that chance at the end of the first half, get themselves some more points, get themselves in the lead, give themselves a bit more confidence, especially with the Irish guys taking as many knocks as they have been. Like, Hogg and Turner and Gray, they were all like chucking the ball around, but eventually they go into touch. So they can't score. Irish defence holds, and it's just that 8 points to 7 lead. It's a 1 point game at halftime. Like, the stats at halftime are crazy close. Run meters is 242 to 244. There's 2 meters in it at halftime. Possession's 50-50, although it's the territory that the Irish guys have been dominating, 58% of that. Clean breaks is 2-1 to the Scots. Defenders beaten is 18-7 to the Scots, but penalty count, the Scots have also conceded more, and their line-out is not quite as operating as sharply as the Irish one is. Speaking of the line-out, second half, Josh van der Fleer's taken the line-out throws. I know the guy's World Player of the Year, but he didn't get that award based on his work at hooker, but Keller has clearly taken an arm injury, and then when you see him running around in that second half, he's clearly kind of got one arm just hanging a little bit limp. So they did try to keep him on as long as they could, but he lasted maybe 8 minutes in the second half. Yeah, Van der Fleer's having to take the line-out throw, so pretty crazy given how many guys have already gone off, including Sheehan, so that's both the Irish hookers. But despite that fact, man, like Mack Hansen continues the good form for the Irish guys. He wins a penalty at the breakdown. Like, Lowe and Hansen are really good at that, eh? It's such an added threat for the Irish squad when you got guys like Hansen and Lowe who aren't supposed to be great at the breakdown. It's not the position for it, but they really add some value. And then Jamie Ritchie gets his side march 10 metres, which is not a good look for the captain, for a bit of back chat. Him and Luke Pierce had a wee chat about it later. They kind of got on the same page, but I think heat of the moment, Ritchie got himself in a bit of hot water. So, like I said, it's not the kind of look that you want your captain to be having. So Cian Healy comes on for Ronan Kelleher, who can't continue. So I've never seen him play hooker before, but apparently he's finding it because they won at least a few scrum penalties with Cian Healy there. I guess the whole 3 props thing is back. Which sides used to play 3 props? Was it Argentina? They used to play 3 props, right? Back in the day? Like real old school, but crazy stuff. I mean, at least they didn't have to go down to uncontested scrums, which would have meant, just less platform for both sides, really. You never really want to see that happen. So, Healy comes on and plays hooker, apparently. Josh van der Fleer does the throwing, though. 55 minutes, man. This is maybe the moment Mack Hansen earns his Man of the Match award, because he's been really good up until this point. He's won penalty at the breakdown, like I mentioned. He's gotten a try. But he pinches an aerial ball in the Scottish 22 when Gibson-Park's put a little dink and kick through. In the Scottish 22, they go through some phases. James Lowe is able to finish it off. I think Gibson-Park's got the initial kick, the box kick that Hansen grabs, and he's got the final pass, so good impact from him. It's 15 points to 7, and then it's looking like game over not long later when Jack Conan goes over. Josh van der Fleer's line out again. They're able to win that ball. They're patient, and eventually they go blindside. Gibson-Park to Hansen, to Conan, and 22-7. So that's the final score, with still lots of game time left. But I feel like Scotland didn't really look like hitting back. The second half generally was it was the Ireland show, especially when you consider Scotland didn't get any points. But they didn't really look like in the first half. Scotland looked like they had some potential chances to score, but not so much in the second half. I mean, Baird gave a soft penalty away when he pushed Finn Russell over. But then he stole the resulting line-out ball that Scotland had kicked into touch anyway. Ringrose knocked himself out on Blair Kinghorn's hip, which was pretty brutal. His face looked, from what you could see of it, pretty messed up. They stopped the game because it's a really serious injury. They have to take him off on a stretcher. He gives his thumbs up. So a quick recovery, hopefully, for him, but I'm sure he's not going to be available for next week. So, man, that's Doris, Henderson, Sheehan, Kelleher, Ringrose. Like, geez, this is some players to be missing, but Fingers crossed he's all right. As I said, wish him a speedy recovery. And then, yeah, almost a bonus point try for Ireland, man, when James Ryan was very close to the line after James Lowe's wide pass to Gibson-Park out on the left wing. And Kyle Steyn with the try-saving tackle on James Ryan. James Ryan just couldn't get that final pass away or go over himself. So that's like another one of those moments that the Scots will look back on as a positive, but overall, second half wasn't that much to write home about for them. Game finishes with, I guess the Ireland still had a chance to get that bonus point. They had a 5-metre scrum on a Scottish feed, which they managed to demolish, get themselves a penalty. They had a chance to tap it from 5 metres, but then the Irish didn't tap it. Keane Healy just kind of moved his foot towards the ball and didn't tap it, so that's a bit of a let-off. But yeah, Scotland lose the final line out of the game. The game ends with a couple of knock-ons each way, so yeah, really, really competitive first half, genuine chances both ways, and then second half, Ireland with injuries just take the game away. That's why they are the number one side in the world. I mean, stats-wise, run meters finished 472 to 532. Ireland with more there. More possession, 51%, so pretty tight, but 60% territory. 5 clean breaks to Scotland's 2. And despite the fact that Josh van der Fleer is throwing in the line-out ball, they finished with 77%, which is higher than the Scots at 65. So the Scots will be disappointed that area of the game didn't go right. They also conceded almost double the penalties. The Scots 10 to 6. And the Irish won 9 turnovers to 3. So the breakdown, really, really key area for them. Individuals, Duhan van der Merwe makes 85 metres, a clean break, and 6 defenders beaten. But never really looked like scoring himself. Jonny Gray, 20 or 20 tackles. That's kind of what he does. James Lowe, 96 metres, 2 clean breaks, 3 defenders beaten, and like 3 turnovers. Crazy from him. Josh van der Fleer, 18 from 18 tackles, plus line-out duties. They didn't all go according to plan, but they did all right. Mack, Hansen, a try and a try assist from him. Man of the match. Turnovers, aerial ball, very, very skilled guy. So there you go. Ireland with 1 game to go will be at home to a shell-shocked England side. Albeit Ireland may have to rejig the side based on the injuries they suffered in this one. But the replacements came on and did their thing. And then the Scots will look to finish on a high note against the Italians. But yeah, there you go, folks. You guys let us know your thoughts. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.